Hi guys, it's Oracle 868 hailing from the Twin Islands of Trinidad and Tobago, and I have another lunar reading for you guys this month, right? So the new moon is coming up on August the 12th, 2026, and that's going to be a Leo new moon, which is going to be really fiery and exciting, right? So this reading is about the energy that's gonna come in at the start of the cycle, how you're gonna use it to your advantage, what will be the outcome, and then some of the other outcomes that come from this energy that's coming in this month, right? Now, another important thing I have to say before the reading starts is you'll see that in the spread that I'm using for this reading, I'm actually featuring my own deck. Yeah, so I've created a deck called Paradise Tarot. Okay, it's still in the workings in terms of being printed, but it's fully fleshed out, fully finished, and it's just to get it out there, so I really want to use these readings as an opportunity to showcase the beauty of my deck. Feel free, if you have any questions about ordering it, to put it down in the comments. I will get back to you, right? You can also follow me on Oracle 868TT on Instagram, right? I also had an account Oracle 868, but I don't know, due to some kind of meta thing, I can't get back into that account. So Oracle 868TT is where you'll get all the information for the new deck that I will be publishing soon, called Paradise Tarot, right? So you'll see it featured in this reading, and enjoy the imagery. I hope you guys connect with it. Leave a comment, let me know what you think about the cards that you've seen so far. Okay, alright guys, so it's fairly simple. You're just picking a lion to determine which group you will be listening to for your reading. I suggest you take your time, think about what it is you want to find out, what you want to know, right? And look at each lion very briefly. Then you're going to close your eyes, and whichever lion shoots out in your mind, like whichever one you can see vividly, that is the pile for you to pick. So take your time, think about it, and choose your pile. Alright, so we're gonna get started with the lunar readings. We have group 1 coming in first, right? You'll see the bottom deck energy is the 10 of Pentacles, right? And then we have, for the new moon energy, we have the Ace of Wands. For the waxing crescent energy or driving force, we have the 2 of Swords. For the full moon energy or total culmination of your efforts, we have the 7 of Wands, and then the results are the 5 of Cups and the 3 of Swords, right? So very interesting, very, very interesting, and probably not the reading you might want to hear today specifically, because with the 10 of Pentacles, you're coming from a place of satisfaction, right? There's some recent goal or project that you have completed, something that you have achieved. There's a sense of like, okay, I have a little more security now, like, I got over one major hurdle. And also I feel like some of you have been, you're coming from like a big family or from a home where there's a lot of financial security. Maybe you live with a pet or there's a lot of children around in your household. But I do get this big family energy where it's very easy for it to be its own ecosystem, where you don't really need anything outside of what that group provides for you. So it might not just be family, it could be friends, it could be your partner and their family. It could be a lot of different types of groups, but it does feel like there is this kind of group that fulfills all of your needs, and you've kind of been living in that abundance for a while now, or at least for the past month, right? So with the Ace of Wands, you're feeling revitalized, you're feeling rejuvenated, you have this new fire, this new lust for life, and you have a lot of energy, and you're looking to kind of see, well, okay, how can I make my mark? How can I influence things? How can I contribute to what's happening around me? Or kind of like looking to see, okay, I enjoyed this particular experience. How do I take this, extract this from this space, and put it somewhere else and replicate that? Right? So there is that kind of feeling of like wanting to recreate or replicate something that you've been experiencing recently, but in a different setting for a different group of people. You're like, more people should enjoy this, more people should get in on this. And I see that, you're really fired up about it. But then we have the 2 of Swords coming in as the waxing crescent energy. So this is your advice on like what to do with that Ace of Wands fiery energy, right? How to utilize it to the best of your ability. And with the 2 of Swords, it's saying that this needs deep contemplation. Before making any forward movement, you really need to sit and think about what is you're actually trying to accomplish, right? And then also what you see might not always be the truth. What you see in front of you might be an illusion, so you have to kind of relax a little bit, right, in terms of whatever this thing is that you're excited about to share with others and to bring to life. You have to kind of relax a little bit, because what you're already in possession of is not what it seems, right? And as time unfolds, you're going to kind of start to see the cracks. You're going to start to see, like, the little issues starting to show themselves. The wear and tear of the environment, of the connections, whatever like that, is going to start kind of cracking a little bit, where you kind of have to realize, but wait, this is not what I thought was going on. And with the Two of Swords, that does call for stillness, right? So there's a call for stillness and for deep inner workings, right? So really trying to think about things from an intuitive place, because you can't trust what you see in front of you, right? Or it might be that what is your tried and true path. It's not really accessible to you in this moment. So it's very important, like I said before, to really sit with the aspirations that you have this month and think about what are the motivating forces for these aspirations. Are they backed by reliable, tangible resources that you can count on to be there for a prolonged period of time? Okay, is it that what worked in this particular environment is not going to be able to work in that environment, because this environment has like a very specific set of pre-existing conditions that created this abundance, this community, this love, or whatever that might be, because I definitely get the feeling that you've been inspired by something you've been given, and you kind of want to try to share it with others. And I don't know why this is coming up as such a big theme in a lunar reading. So I would have to assume it's something to do with like money or family, or like hosting an event or something like that, some kind of enterprise, it feels like, but it could be something else, but it definitely feels like some kind of enterprise that you've been inspired to try to bring to life, right? So with the Two of Swords, the advice how to utilize this desire and this passion that's burning inside of you now is to sit still, right? Sit still with your thoughts and your ideas and really map out a proper plan in your mind, right? Not using what you see in front of you, but like you have to kind of be able to cultivate foresight, right? Which is very difficult, obviously, for everybody. Even I'm a tarot reader, and sometimes, I can't really predict to the T every single detail of a situation. So, you're really gonna have to kind of build up your ability to have foresight, right, as a gift. You have to kind of be able to guess people's moves like 5 steps ahead of themselves, so there's something that requires a lot of strategy. And I think like the Seven of Wands, the full moon card, kind of confirms that, because you see in this card, it's like this person, and like they have all these ups against them, but they already calculated that people were going to be against what they were trying to do. They already ready. She have the boxing glove on, she have the rod in the next hand, like she ready to fight. She knew, in this particular context, it looks like she already knows that they are coming for her, so it's just a really interesting energy, because why is there resistance from others, right? If this is something that you're trying to share with other people that you think is going to be so great for them, why is there this resistance for you to create this new dynamic or this new environment or this new product? Why is it that you have to kind of like prove the worth or the value of what it is you are working on? That's an interesting question, right? Because it rears its head fully by the time of the full moon, which will be 2 weeks from now, from the 12th of August. And it could really make you feel like, damn, I'm really all alone in this. Like, I tried to do something to benefit the collective, and the collective has turned on me. And that's always a difficult experience to have, especially when you're deeply attached to a group of people, right? So like I said, this could be family, could be an organization, could be a job, anything like that, right? But it's a place where recently you've been able to feel a sense of security and belonging, and you might be getting ahead of yourself. You might be getting a little too excited and wanting to kind of like implement your own ideas, right? Either to enhance the group or to just tweak things a little bit, where you think that they might be stagnant, or where they might have a blind spot, and it feels like this group of people or this space is resistant to change a little bit, right? And that's where the Two of Swords comes in. Like, there is this illusion of like these tides, these waves, like, moving, pulling and pushing everything, right? But it's also a very static night. It's a very static place, a static moment. Like, it works because it's frozen in time. So when you try to add to that, or try to expand on that or improve on that, there's going to be resistance from others, because people already like the way things are. If it's not broke, don't fix it, right? I definitely get that energy. So you're giving me trailblazer energy, you're giving me definitely Aries, Aquarius energy. I mean, it could be any sign and pick this reading, but I'm definitely getting a lot of Aries and Aquarius and Libra as well. Yeah, so I get a lot of air and fire in this reading. And obviously after realizing that people are kind of resistant to what you're trying to accomplish, we have the Five of Cups and the Three of Swords ending off the lunar cycle for you, and that's a lonely place to be. I'm not gonna lie, it's just very weird energy, the way how things progress. So I feel like definitely someone like turns on you or shows their true colors in a way that feels very jarring and disorienting, right? With the Five of Cups, it was like you were expecting to have a bedfellow, right? I'm not just talking about romantically, but like you were expecting to share intimate space with others. You're expecting to have others over and feel connected and feel present, and feel like, you have others around you, like you're not alone. But you look around and there's no one around you. Like, you're actually doing it all alone. You're the only one that actually cares about this thing that you are trying to work towards. And it feels very sad and depressing, It feels like you wasted your time and your energy and your effort on others, right? And the promise of the Five of Cups with the two glasses still standing is that you could move forward. In this card, you see there's the cityscape in the distance. Like, there is more past this specific situation. There is more. And then you still have reserves. You still have that energy to bring your ideas and your personality into spaces that people will appreciate it, right? So obviously all of this is supposed to be future tense, right? But I think I just started like channeling for a little bit there. So it's like, like I said, you start off the month very enthusiastic because you feel like you're in a space where your opinion and your contributions matter. But it feels like as the month progresses, when you try to, make an impact, there is resistance, right? And it ends with the Three of Swords, which is a very bad miscommunication. There is this feeling like at the end of the month, a lot of the issues that you might have acquired by that time could easily be solved with clear and honest communication, and communication that is not built in from a spiteful, petty, vindictive lens, because it is going to be talks about, wow, you hurt me when you didn't have my back. You hurt me when you didn't stand up for me. You hurt me when you didn't, vet my idea. Like, it could be an easy conversation, right? But if it's with people that just want to talk to hurt, to wound, to injure, then it's definitely going to be painful, because it's kind of gonna be like you're back against the wall, and it's either I let this person hurt me or I'm gonna hurt this person. Like, I can't just, you're like, it kind of like, I can't take this, not from you. So if you try to hurt me, I'm gonna hurt you, and it's more like it's not a physical thing, it's more like a verbal, like a verbal argument, saying things you can't take back, that kind of thing. Like, the story is very clear about wanting someone in your corner to achieve something, or wanting a group of people in your corner to achieve something, and then realizing you have absolutely no support, and people actually kind of have hidden animosity against you, which is crazy, because we have the Ten of Coins. We was all nine men, right? We was all chilling. All of it was good. was having a good time. Everything was looking good. Why all of a sudden now, and it could be too, now I'm thinking about it, it could be that you get some kind of, you get some kind of something, opportunity, or some type of resource or financial benefit that actually kind of, helps you to rise up a little bit. And that could be the issue. That could be where the problems start to lie, when you start to do better for yourself than people expected you to, or that they unconsciously or subconsciously, or maybe even consciously, would have allowed you to, because there are people that do benefit from keeping people at a certain level in their life, or keeping them on a certain mindset, right? Because then they get to have company, they get to look like, this like high and mighty perfect person, or like this ringleader, this mentor, whatever. And it's just because they're consciously keeping people at a specific level so that they don't outgrow them, right? So this could be a story about you outgrowing somebody, a group, or an environment, and it being very painful because these are people that you love. You didn't think of it at the time when you were applying for these opportunities, when you were setting up yourself for certain types of securities and, financial gains. You weren't thinking of it as like, I'm trying to get above these people, I'm trying to get the fuck out of here, I'm trying to elevate myself. You weren't thinking of it like that. But when it comes, it becomes very clear that it's gonna have to be that. It's gonna have to be me or them. Do I sacrifice myself to the collective and, keep myself small and, just kind of try to be okay with this, a wonderland that where time never moves and everything kind of stays the same. It's fun, but it's just, there's no growth, right? And you're somebody, you are seeking growth. So I would say for you, this lunar cycle, you definitely have to be prepared to detach from some kind of person, place, organization, job. There's going to be a major detachment happening, right? And it doesn't mean a loss, it doesn't mean losing your job or losing your friends or being exiled from your family or anything like that. But it is about understanding that at the end of the day, we are all individuals, right? We do share a collective consciousness, but a lot of people are not tapped into it, right? And you're gonna have to, unfortunately, and against what you would desire, live individualistically, right? For this month, you're gonna have to kind of get out of the herd mentality, right? And realize that you are charting your own course. You're going on your own path. And while this specific space or people was needed to nurture you up to a certain point, if it really comes down to it where they try to kind of make you feel bad for trying to improve or grow, you just have to be like, well, I am going to improve and grow. And you could take that however you want. You could take that as disrespect. You could take that as me thinking I'm better than you. You could take that as me not knowing my place. I don't care, but I will improve and grow. It's gonna happen, right? So definitely be prepared to detach, because the only other option is to completely negate yourself and your needs to suit the egos of others. And that is never a life worth living, right? We have your 2 oracle cards coming in here as your advice. We have take a step back, right? Which is definitely very important. I think definitely something that you're involved in right now, all the aspects of it have not yet been revealed to you. Some of the negative sides of it, some of the harmful sides of it, some of the disturbing sides of it, they have not been revealed to you yet, right? And it might not be things that are complete deal breakers or that will destroy you in a massive way. We're not seeing that. We're just seeing that there is resistance, right? And that people choose not to side with you, or not to stick up for you or support you, like be by your side in the moment. We see that. So when you take a step back, it's about knowing your place, right? And kind of relaxing when you see that people are not responding well to the way that you're pushing them. So you could be a pusher. You could definitely be a pusher, somebody who very goal oriented and like is get these ideas and you just want to go with it and like push people to become their best self. But this is the time where you're gonna have to kind of relax and understand that it's not your place. right? And then when you take a step back, it also is reminding me of the Two of Swords a lot, in the sense that you need to take a step back to assess the situation properly and to see everything clearly. When you're too close to up and personal, there are too many blind spots all around you, right? But if you can remove yourself from the situation and go as far back as possible, far forward, whichever direction, where you could get an elevated point of view, you would see the entire thing playing out properly, right? So definitely, be careful not to overstep your boundaries with certain groups and people. They might like the things the way they are, and you can't get upset with people for being comfortable with who they are and where they are. You can't try to force them out of that, right? And also, it doesn't work to put people on a pedestal, right? So if you found yourself having a deep attachment to someone or a group of people, it's not good to put them on a pedestal, take a step back and really look at them from every perspective, even the parts of them that they try to hide, the parts that they don't really want to talk about. You really had to kind of understand the people that you're dealing with, right? Because I get the feeling that you don't. I get the feeling that you have walked into this group or this job or this environment or been a part of this family during a period of great abundance where it's very easy for everybody to get along and be nice to each other and to be cordial and whatever. But when there is a little tension, when there's a little conflict, what might emerge will surprise you, definitely, right? We also have the empowerment card for your advice for the oracle cards. And with the empowerment card, I think that this is what I was talking about also a little bit before, where it's really just about you saying, no, I will grow. I will grow. I will improve. I have great ideas. I have all this energy and vitality. I will become what I choose to become. And I think it's so interesting with the Seven of Wands being the full moon card and it having this kind of real deep yellow in the background is reminding me of the solar plexus chakra. And I keep saying I will. There's this idea of really strengthening your resolve and taking pride in your willpower. You might find that you feel like you haven't been utilized to your full potential. You feel like you have not been in the space or in the job or in the position, the role that you would really shine in, and you're going to keep transforming and evolving until you get to that space, right? So I think that these people being against that is definitely not a matter of them hating you or secretly wishing ill or harming you or anything like that, but it's a matter of the fact that they are already comfortable where they are. They're very comfortable. Just how they operate in, money comes in, there's joy, there's abundance. They don't see the need to do anything else, right? And you could be a guest in that space and enjoy the fruits of others' labor, or you could set your own path, right? And continue to aspire for what your soul is calling for. So I would definitely say to you, this month, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to feel like you've lost a major friend, right? And I'm just saying friend, but just like a major connection that was given so much vitality is gonna feel very difficult to let that go, right? And it is gonna be a painful process. It's not one that's rooted in hate and exile, but it's just one that's realizing that, okay, this next step of my journey, these people that have been supporting me, cheering me up, making me feel so incredible, they can't be here for the next part of this journey. I have to walk this path alone. I have to find myself again, because I know that my soul is calling for more. It's calling for a change. Something is happening within me, and I can't hide that or discredit that because it makes others feel safer about the status quo and stuff like that, So definitely this lunar cycle, prepare to stand out above the crowd, to chat your own course, and in the process probably like lose one or two deep connections, just because you kind of really need to be on your own beat. By the end of the cycle, for sure you need to be on your own beat, right? Because it's time for you to go into your solo arc, right? This is your solo arc where you're getting all your character development and some random side story in the back of something. Like, that's what's going on with you right now. So be ready for that, embrace that, and yeah, also just watch your words. With the Three of Swords, watch your words. You don't want to say anything you can't take back. But it just feels like you get driven to that anyways. So maybe sometimes things happen because you really have to sever that cord. And you can't really lament on it too much. It will hurt. It will hurt if people hurt you. It will hurt if you hurt others. But sometimes things have to happen because it's just time for a new storyline. It's time for a new timeline. Something needs to shift, right? So group 1, I hope that you enjoyed this reading. I hope that it will help you in terms of how you interact with others as the month continues, right? Wishing you all the best, and I hope that you are here for the next reading at the next lunar cycle. And don't forget, okay, if you're interested in the Paradise Tarot deck, you can comment, right? I will message you guys personally. You can also follow me on Instagram, Oracle868TT, and I will message you guys and keep you updated about when the deck will be available for purchase, right? Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Hello, group number 2. Okay, so if you choose this pile, this is your reading for the Leo lunar cycle. Okay, so just again a refresher of how the spread works. It explains to you what is the energy coming in for you with the new moon, how best to utilize that to get the results that you want, the culmination of your efforts at the full moon, and then also the results of that as the month ends, right? So for my group 2s, we have the bottom deck energy as the Temperance card, okay, which is a good underlying energy to start with, right? You're already coming from a place of balance. You've kind of been, alchemizing certain things, maybe certain feelings, certain resources. I see you really trying to be a lot more inventive this round. I see you trying to be a little smarter, a little more clever, and doing all of that while respecting the order of things, but just trying to find ways to kind of, beat the system and bring forth things that you want in your environment around you, So you've been approaching that too in a very calm way. I don't feel like there's any sense of panic in you at the moment as you're experiencing this reading. I feel like there's a sense of serenity where, despite how shitty things might be, the world is literally probably going into another recession, so much war, besides all these things, and maybe you specifically in a place where you actually see a lot of that, a lot more than the average person maybe, but I just feel like you kind of have this feeling in spite of how fucked everything feels, I'm actually handling things really well. I've been balancing things really well. I've been still managing to kind of keep my serenity in regards to how hectic and tough things have been getting all around me. There's people that have not really survived certain changes in government and in anything that could happen, economic wise or stuff like that. A lot of people are still kind of fighting up, still trying to recover from losses, and you have managed in a time where people are going through a lot of scarcity and just a lot of, I don't want to say poverty. It's not just about not being poor, but it's just in a space where people have not had security. You have somehow managed to build a little safe haven for yourself. You're even able to take from the bad and make it into good. You're able to take challenges and kind of use them to build a character and overcome them. And you do it in a way that actually is usually very publicized. People often see what you're going through, right? A lot of people kind of suffer in silence and blah blah. People actually see the obstacles that you go through, and then they get to see you overcome it. So you do have this kind of goated energy around you where you're kind of like anything bother you, and you're just kind of keeping that inner balance, because you know you've been through enough to know that you can weather any storm and you can make anything work for you, right? That's great energy. That I love that. So we have your new moon energy come in as the Queen of Pentacles, which is great. I love this card. This is actually one of my favorite cards in this deck that I've done. Queen of Pentacles is a lovely energy for you because, again, there is a sense of security, and these two cards, there is this kind of like beautiful green lush land right next to this, blue, crisp, clean, clear water in the background. There's that juxtaposition between like the spiritual and the physical, and it just feels like the abundance that's been coming in for you has been coming in from all kind of different angles. It's not just about money. It's about like a deep, rich enlightenment about life, reality, your spirit, right? It's about a deep connectedness to the earth. Like actually you've been seeing so many instances of the earth providing for you in like a very direct way, like literally like probably walking under a tree and a mango fall from the tree and it catches it in the perfect way so it don't get soft, it don't get bruised, and it just this perfect juicy mango, and then you're eating it and it's perfectly sweet. Like that's how life has been going through. Things have kind of been falling in your lap. The nature itself, the physical nature itself, has kind of been bending to your will or providing you with like real nice little signs and trinkets to show that you are loved and supported, right? And with the Queen of Pentacles, it's also about being grateful for your abundance, right? And not being afraid of losing it, right? Understanding that the abundance is infinite. As long as you have a soul and a spirit, your abundance can be infinite, right? And that's what the Queen of Pentacles energy is kind of bringing in for you at the start of this cycle. As long as I know that I am the core, that I am the engine, the spark that actually brings forth this abundance, I could never run out of anything once I have myself, right? Yeah, so you just having a deeper understanding about yourself. I feel like you just come off of a major victory. You're just feeling like, wow, I'm really that bitch. I really am that bitch. Or if you're a guy, I really am him. Like, I'm him, it definitely feels like that. You've just have this strong sense of security, and it's not because everything's been handed to you, but it's because you've been through a lot and you still come out on top each and every time. And that feels, at this point, it's time to believe the prophecy. At this point, it's time to believe the prophecy. Like, yeah, okay, I am about to like save the world and shit. Like, I am about to be that, like resurrect or something. Like, it's time to believe it. Like, I really can achieve anything. Oh my God, that's really my pose a reason right now. But yeah, like, you're really starting to accept like, hey, I am low-key goated and undefeated. Like, I don't have to stress about anything. There's no obstacle that's actually going to be too much for me. I get through everything and I always come out on top. Yeah, I think that maybe you are the type that's been working on your affirmations as well, and they are really helping you out because you're able to see yourself as this undefeatable force through what you affirm to yourself. And it's definitely becoming the reality, right? So we have the Emperor in the waxing crescent position. And this is what you have to do to utilize that Queen of Pentacles energy the most. And with the Emperor, it's about structure, right? It's about structure and order and about planning and being strategic, right? And having a firm, ruling with a firm hand. Yeah, because we have the Temperance and the Queen of Pentacles, and they're very feminine energy. So there's this kind of feeling like, oh yes, life is beautiful, I will share with all, okay, and you kind of just, you want to give freely, and you kind of might even feel bad, like, like, damn, people really down, and I just going up and up. Maybe I should start like sharing, maybe I should start like giving people opportunities, maybe I should start like giving people more of my time, more of my understanding, like serve people more. That's definitely what you're gonna be thinking. But with the Emperor, it's like, hold on, right? It don't serve you to just give of yourself indiscriminately. That does not serve you at all. That actually could undo a lot of the work that you've done. So in having what you have now while others may not have at all, you still have to have a strategic mind. You still have to kind of decide, okay, what is worth investing in? Because where I place my money and my time, those are investments, right? How do I spread out and influence others in a way that builds my network in a positive way, rather than me just like adopting a whole set of strays and bandwagonists who will probably deplete my resources before I even get a chance to replenish them. So it's really about being careful who you have on your team, right? Because you have a lot going for you right now. So it's about not getting caught up and feeling sad for others who definitely should have utilized more agency in their own life, right? This reading doesn't even sound like me, because I'm usually not this harsh, but I feel like this is the persona I have to put on for who is listening to this reading for group number 2. So it feels like a very interesting channel in this particular message. But it's just saying that, you have to be mindful of who you bring along for the ride, right? Because you're doing the majority of the work, you have most of the resources, you have the vision, you have the mindset, you have the power, you have the skill to really make something out of anything, right? So how are you going to be strategic about building these networks in a way that could continue to pour into what you have going on, and also give others around you good footing where they might not have to rely on you so much, right? Because with the Queen of Pentacles, there is a sense of like people looking to you as this nurturer, this provider, like, somebody they could always count on to get a meal, or, to get $20 to go home or something like that. Like, you've been given, right? You've been given. Nobody's saying that, you're not a sharing person or anything like that. But with the Emperor card here now, is a time to be a little more strategic, right? And then when we see the full moon card is the Four of Pentacles. So you come to that conclusion anyway, without me even telling you this now in this reading. You was going to come to that conclusion anyways. You're going to realize, bro, like, I'm actually at a real good point in my life. There is some financial security happening, and I've managed to be in a good spot, considering that a lot of shit is happening in the world in general. And I don't want to get caught up in the ecstasy of being in this great sense of security. I'm going to save for a rainy day. I'm going to plan what I'm doing with this abundance. I'm going to take my time, and release my resources periodically as investments that will have good returns, And definitely also I just seen you getting more wins. So it's like, if there's been something you've already invested in, I do see it bringing a lot of big returns. I feel like if there's like you have a specific job or something where you were recently given an important task, I see that really playing off very well. Does it result in financial compensation? I'm not sure. It might for some of you, but for others there's a sense of like recognition and pride in your ability to work the way you work. A lot of you are accountants, or you work in finance or econ, anything in that particular set of sectors, for sure. A lot of you, but not all. But there is this, I don't know, group 2, you're so self-assured. You are so sure of yourself. It's crazy. You are so locked in with who you need to be to move forward. You already know a lot of the answers in terms of your inner curiosities about what is to come in the future and what you will have to do. You already you have it. You already know what needs to be done, how you need to act, just how much strictness and severity you need to use, all of these different things, it's giving untouchable, unreachable. It's just like you're very out of reach for a lot of people, It's important to protect your resources. You will see that for yourself by the time of the full moon. Even if you're listening to this and you have any doubt, like, oh no, but I'm a real giving person. No, I want to do this, I want to do that. By the full moon, you will see why it's important to keep some things to yourself, right? Then we have justice, right? Coming out as a result of this Four of Coins. And then we also have the Queen of Wands. So like I said, yeah, very self-assured energy, right? You decide, hey, I'm doing good for myself, yeah. That doesn't mean I have to, like, literally give away everything just to prove that, I am not, like, attached to my material possessions. I don't have to give away everything. I don't have to prove anything to anybody. If I'm from an area, people usually don't do well for themselves, and I've done well for myself. I don't have to prove to anybody that I want to be one of them, or that, that I'm not forsaking the group or anything like that. You are just understanding, like, hey, everything I have worked extremely hard for it. I want to make the best of what I've gained from how hard I've worked, and I'm not going to let the needs of others, because people are so sick sometimes. They don't know what the fuck it takes to get to where you are, and they sit on the sidelines and they get jealous, they get entitled, they try to guilt trip you, they try to all kinds of things to make you feel like you are wrong for actually having the willpower to bring forth what you want in your own life. And I feel like with the Justice card, that's very important for people to see, like, hey, I didn't get here just so, right? It's the strength of my character, the righteousness of my actions, the balance of my mindset versus my feelings, like it's all I worked, I cultivated who I am today to be this person. And by the end of the month, the lunar month, you are just shining. You're like a beacon with the Queen of Wands. You clearly are set apart and you are cut above the rest, right? So I feel like this is not the month to have imposter syndrome. This is not the month to allow people who clearly jealous you or covet what you have to make you feel inferior. Because I mean, the only reason this will come up is because you have a tendency to feel inferior. You have a tendency to feel inferior. You have a tendency of, like, allowing people to make you feel bad. You could be a people pleaser. You could tend to, like, naturally want to serve yourself up as a martyr in a situation. And this reading is saying, you've done enough. You've done enough. If you believe in karma, forget karma. You've surpassed karma in the sense that you have done so much inner work. And also in the physical realm, you've done so much. Right? There's no need to have negative or fearful ideas attached to what you've accomplished in your life. Right? You are meant to stand above the rest. You're meant to be a beacon. You're meant to be an example. And you definitely will help others. And for some of you, it feels like you're going to end up a politician, end up working in public service, end up working for a government or something like that, dog. There's definitely this vibe of working for the people. Like, that's something that's really important to this group. Doing something for the people. Very, very important. But you have to be so careful. Remember what they did to Jesus. I don't know, like, I'm not Christian, but, that story of Jesus is so real, bro. Like, there's people that just live the way they live, dog. And you come in. No savior shit, really, but, like, you come in on some different type of energy, bro. And that infuriates them. It causes them to turn against you, causes them to do this, to do that. Like, with this group, you'll just have to be proud of who you are and how far you've come. Not allow others to guilt you into releasing everything that you've worked for, right? And also for things that you are trying to work towards, it's just about being strategic, right? Because you have a lot of resources, but with the Emperor, can you plan and strategize and make sure that every area of your life can be taken care of with the resources that you have? That's something that you definitely need to make sure of, right? Four of Coins, you have to still save for a rainy day. It's not about, okay, I'm doing so well, I can just do whatever I want. No, there's still a need to, put something aside. I mean, this Four of Coins definitely does give me kind of banker, merchant kind of energy, kind of market energy, So for some of you, you all are business owners, or, you sell a product or a service or something like that, and there is big bank coming in from that work that you've been doing, right? But again, when you get that big bank, manage it wisely, put some of it away, right? And with Justice and Queen of Wands, like I said, it's just about being who you are, standing firm, standing tall. Because you start off the month with the Queen of Pentacles energy and you end as the Queen of Wands, right? So it's a matter of, I kind of think also it feels like you kind of starting to like hide or shroud your wealth in a way, which might actually be beneficial to you, right? It feels like you start off as the Queen of Pentacles, people seeing what's going on, but you kind of get the feeling like there's this like evil eye, or like people just preying you too much, so you strip yourself of anything that is overtly prosperous looking. You take a more secluded role, a more tame role. You don't jump out to be like the money man or the money woman. I see you kind of like strip down yourself of like the material wealth, and you're like, oh, all you feel like is nothing without my things, or all you feel like is nothing without my things. Let me show you. Let me pass out everything and show all you I still the baddest bitch in the room, or I'm still him. Like, I'm still very much him. Take away all this that I have, right? All the money, the property, the car, whatever. Take away everything, and I'm still the baddest to ever do it. I'm still the realest to ever do it. And real recognize real. And that's what's going on. Real recognize real. So you come up at the end of the month with this kind of energy like, yeah, like before you felt like you had something to prove, right? You was working hard, you was overcoming things, you felt like you were at the base of everything, it was because you had something to prove. But now you reach a point where it's like, actually, no. I don't have anything to prove. I don't have a single thing to prove to anybody. All you will recognize my greatness, and all you will accept it, and all you will just have to bask in it. Because what you gonna do? Yes, and I have my Jaguar right here. I'm a Black Panther right here. I can sick him on you right now. Like, I can sick this man on you right now. Like, what you gonna do? You can't do nothing. And I do get this kind of feeling of like empty threats, like people like hitting you these little empty threats about ways they might want to try to like cut you down or expose you or make you feel like shit, or like turn people like I feel like at least one person somewhere in there, because that could be also why the Justice card comes up. Like, there is somebody kind of feel like who she thinks she is, who you think he is, like going on thing and try to like threaten you like, hey, da 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 da. And it's like empty threats, bro. Empty threats. They can't light a candle to you, and it's just empty threats. So whether this is somebody at your workplace, in your family, or even your partner, because sometimes when you start to shine, even your partner could become your up at some point, But the advice for that is just to continue to be yourself, knowing that people cannot mess with you, right? And it's so fitting, now that I'm like completing the tarot part of the reading, where this angelic protection card came out from, because when I was doing the spread, I didn't really get that card, but now as I'm medicine fully on this message, the angelic protection makes so much sense. Like, you are one of the chosen, you are anointed, you have been chosen, right, to be allowed to live a life that is as close to paradise as we could get on this plane, right? And people can't take that away from you. You have a great soul, a strong spirit, and the universe is keeping score. It is kind of tallying the amount of effort you've put into making the world a better place, and you are fiercely protected, right? If you watch the angelic protection card, maybe the person depicted in the card might even resemble somebody you've known personally in your life, right? And that'll be like just extra confirmation that there are guides and spirits that are deeply connected to you and related to you that are watching over you, as I'm speaking right now, as you are living certain things. Sometimes there might have been things in your life but you say, but how the fuck did I get away with that? How did I escape that? How did that not end and ruin me? And it's because you are divinely protected. For some reason the universe favors you and has even kind of chosen you to kind of be an example of the greatness and the abundance of the universe, right? Through your lived life. Which at a time like this can feel jarring. It can. Especially, and I feel like because specifically for you, I don't feel like you've grown up or been like around an extremely wealthy environment from young. it just feels like you've grown up where people have struggled and they have suffered. So it's extra hard for you to enjoy the fruits of your labor, right? But like I said before, even if you take all of that away, if you take away the job, the car, the house, whatever it is, you are an individual that is meant to shine, right? It's not just that people love you just for your things. Your personality, your energy, your vibrance is completely captivating. People are intimidated by you. They love you. They're obsessed with you. Like, they think you're a amazingly attractive person, hardworking. Like, I'm just getting a lot of, like, love letters to you, you know, like things that have gone unsaid, things that, you know, people have been dying to tell you in private, and just a lot of love letters and like crushes, and people are just so enamored by you, you know. And I think that is also one of your blessings in this life, that people just can't help but love you, you know. Then we also have the throat chakra as advice for this group, right? With the third chakra card, I also think it's just about speaking your truth, being who you are and who you know you are, right? Knowing when to tell people no, especially. Learning when to tell people no, learning when to stand up for yourself, learning when to tell people, I will not allow you to make me feel less than. That's an important one. I feel that one fair. I will not allow you to make me feel less than. I feel like that at some point you're going to have to tell somebody that during this lunar cycle. Because people be forgetting. They be forgetting who the fuck you are. And you have to remind them sometimes. It just go like that. You know, and nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to feel bad about. You have to use your voice this month. Right? Don't let people make you feel small. Use your voice. Right? And also there could be some very important communication coming in as well. Right? That paired with the angelic protection. And it's so funny because he's wearing blue, third chakra card is blue, and then his shield, the spherical blue shield, it kind of literally looks like he have the third chakra flower of life on his shield, right? So it's your communication and the way that you present yourself and your voice on the whole that has a lot of power in it. So some of you might be aspiring to be hosts. You might want to do like podcasts or YouTube videos or content creator or something like that. But I see that some of you are involved in something where your voice is going to make a big impact. Your opinion, your ideas, your truth, your truthfulness, you know, your honesty, especially with the justice card there is an element of being honest is what makes you so lovable, you know, like actually leading by example and showing people that you're not afraid to show people who you really are, to talk about what you've been through, to, you know, express yourself in the ways you want to. All of that comes with it, right? Yeah. Your throat is your shield. What could that even mean? Throat is your shield, but definitely your voice. I would say speak up, right? And I also think too, like if anybody wrongs you in this lunar cycle, or is trying to, I don't know, I'm carrying blackmail, or there is, I think I talked about that a little bit earlier too, like feeling like somebody's gonna be like, hey, you know that, you know, I don't know why you feel so big, because I know for a fact that you did do XYZ or something, that, you know, like somebody is trying to put you in place by saying like, I know what you did, you know. And I feel like with this third chakra is about owning it, you know. I feel like shame and guilt is going to, will probably be the undoing of all this abundance that you have collected. Definitely don't go down a road of having shame and guilt about what you do, what you have done to get to where you are. You know, if somebody tries to play like they're trying to expose you or make you like admit to being some aspect of whatever their imagination is, you don't have to do that. You just have to live your truth and speak honestly and openly about what's going on in your life, in your head, in your mind, in your heart. You don't have to cling or validate anybody else's perspective, because they haven't been in the mud with you. You know, there wasn't any trenches with you when you was going through your shit. So don't let anybody try to come in now and try to make you feel like, oh, you're this, you're that, da, 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 da. No, you're the Queen of Wands, right? You are this radiant energy, and a lot of times the heat is the ones that want to feed off of that energy. And even by trying to fight up to prove to them that you are not what they say you are, that's giving them energy and they are benefiting from that. So again, it's about speaking your truth, right? Being honest about who you are, being authentic in yourself, not letting other people categorize you and label you and identify you, right? And then not allowing people to guilt you into giving away everything you have just to prove that you are a good person or to prove that you are some kind of elevated higher kind of being. No. The universe knows and you know what you've been through, how hard you've worked, and the true spirit hiding inside of your vessel, right? Which is a very radiant, beautiful, attractive, magnetic force. So group number 2, sorry, that was a very intense reading. I didn't realize, like, now that the reading is done, I feel extremely, not even drained, but I just didn't realize how intense it was until I finished. Sorry. So for group number 2, that's the final messages. Be strategic about how you utilize and share resources. Save back some for a rainy day. You are about to achieve or accomplish something or sell something that you have been trying to. Take some of that money, put it away for a later day, right? And don't get too attached to these gifts, this material abundance that you have now been able to experience, because they do not define you. What makes you valuable is that inner light, that brightness, that soul that's inside of you, right? That encourages you to move in such a righteous and honest manner. That is the true wealth that you have within you, right? So don't get too attached. Don't make your things your identity. Always continue to sharpen the soul, sharpen the spirit, enhance it. That is what you should be working on, right? And just know that in all things you are divinely protected. And by now you should know that, because like I said, you probably know to yourself things you might have never told anybody else happen to you, and you say, boy, how did I get out of that? How am I still alive today? How am I not broke? How am I not in jail? Whatever. You know you are divinely protected, right? And I feel like that's another element that comes with the third chakra and the Queen of Wands. It's kind of like about telling your story. Like, it's like an act of preaching, it's an act of sharing a testimony about the goodness and omnipotence of the universe, and we need more of that. We need more of that examples of, it's not about never doing anything wrong and gain blessings. No, it's about how you face every decision and stimulant in your life, how you face it, how you grow from it, how you overcome it. That is what is really the marker of somebody that is worth looking up to, somebody that is deserving of the respect of the collective on the whole. And yeah, I'm gonna end it right there, and I wish you guys the best, group 2. I hope you all enjoyed the reading. Leave a comment, and check me back for the next lunar cycle. And also, don't forget, if you liked this deck, if you enjoy this tarot deck, you can get this for purchase, right? I'm going to put up more information about that on the Instagram, which is Oracle868TT, so y'all can message if you're interested about getting the deck itself, okay? I also do personal readings as well, so you can message me for that as well. Wishing you guys all the best. See you next cycle. Hi, group 3. Welcome to your Leo lunar cycle reading. Right, so we're going to get into it. Again, the structure of the reading: there's the new moon card, that's the energy that's coming in for you. There is the waxing crescent card, that is how to utilize that energy to the best of your ability. There's the full moon card, which is the culmination of your efforts, right? And then the outcomes of that are the last 2 cards, which is the waning crescent and the void, of course, right? So let's get into it. Bottom deck energy is the 10 of Pentacles. And group 1 also got this for their bottom deck energy as well. So for some of you, this might be a continuation of group 1's reading. Some of you, maybe both the piles would apply to you, right? So we have the 10 of Pentacles. So again, you're coming from a place of security and like a culmination of your efforts or the efforts of your family, really, like there is just this bit of abundance in a space or in a group of people, right, that has come from, from lineage, from like, like successive work, right, that one person handing on the baton to other. It feels like that, right? So yeah, you've been kind of just like living in that comfort and that security, loving family life. I feel like you've been really enjoying family life, or this particular group of people you've been hanging out with, you've really been feeling a sense of belonging and support, right? So the new moon energy coming in is the Six of Cups, and I love this card so much because it's like peering into the past, this big sense of nostalgia. You just see something that reminds you of something from the past, and you're like, wow, yeah, that used to be a great time. I remember we used to do this and we used to do that, and we used to go here and we used to go there. So there's a lot of reminiscing in this lunar cycle, a lot of looking back at the past, replaying important moments, really kind of like dissecting some of your core memories, like as far back as childhood, but it could be from last year, 2 years ago, but there is this preoccupation with the past, right? Also, somebody from your past most likely is going to be very prominent this month. Somebody that you would have had a good bit of history with, or just a really good time with in the past, and they look like they're desiring to reach out to kind of rekindle some kind of connection you had. It doesn't necessarily have to be romantic. It could just be friends. It could be a business partner, something like that, right? But it just feels like there's somebody that's kind of thinking about the past and saying, wow, we were actually a good team. Why didn't we stick with it? Weren't we more consistent? Why did we give up? Why did we part ways? So there is that idea of somebody like coming back to be like, hey, do you think we could make it work again? Do you think we could try giving this another go? And you're up for it. You're actually up for it with the Six of Cups. You are definitely up for it. I mean, they've caught you at a great time. I mean, you're in the Ten of Pentacles right now. So there's a sense of security, there's a strong family presence, or like, just a strong, like I said, sense of belonging. And when you have that, it takes you out of survival mode, and you kind of stop assessing who should be in your life based on what they could do for you, or like how much they bring to the table. So maybe that was the problem last rounds, that they really wasn't bringing shit. They wasn't bringing shit into your life. They wasn't really contributing anything of value, maybe. But now you're in a better place. You're not so hungry. You're not like, looking for a come up. You're just, you're satisfied, and you have so much time on your hands from not being in survival mode that now you're actually starting to dwell on the past. Like, hey, this was a thing that happened. This was a person I knew. And I think that both of you and this person, y'all are picking up on each other's energies, right? So it could be love or family, business, anything like that. But you and this person or these people, you're picking up on each other's energies, and you're both thinking about each other, both thinking about what you shared, what could have been accomplished, right? So I see that the advice for you how to utilize this energy is the King of Swords. So it's like a little, yeah, like, okay, yeah, like the past feels like it was very loving and it was perfect and it was fun. But let's use our analytical mind now. We're older now, right? That's the past for a reason. Like, are you still even the same person you were when you were a teenager? Are you still the same person you were even 2 years ago? No. We're constantly changing. So that's why sometimes tackbacks, which is when like somebody comes back into your life, sometimes tackbacks don't make sense because you're literally not the same person anymore. And not in a kind of way like you're so advanced or evolved, but it's just literally like things have changed, We might be able to change the core aspects of our behavior, but definitely our ideologies on things how we might do things, a simple thing like, okay, you meet me making grilled cheese sandwiches this one particular way, and then I ended up going on while you weren't in my life, I ended up going on a weekend trip with some friends, and they showed me a brand new way to make grilled cheese sandwiches, and you come back and I'm trying to show you the new way of making the grilled cheese sandwiches, and you're vexed with me because like, but that's not what I showed you, and it's like, but bro, like, when you were gone, someone showed me something better. And it's like, that's how it goes, So it's like, be mindful not to get swept up in the nostalgia of things. Right? Be very mindful not to make things more beautiful than they really were. Right? And that's why I love this King of Swords that I've done, because it's like, he doesn't need eyes to see. He's not going to be fooled by the illusions created by the world. What he needs is a mind that is sharp to cut through bullshit, right? And I think it's important for you to remember, if anybody's coming back in, to be able to sense the bullshit from a mile away, right? And have your sword ready for people who feel like, they're going to just come back on some fake shit. You're not going to accept that, right? The advice is to act as the King of Swords. Act very strict and stern and severe. Right? Because this nostalgia is kicking your ass. Like, you're remembering somebody. And the thing is, they're remembering you too. So it's drawing on each other's energy. And again, you have a new lens to look at the past now. So you're thinking, I could have done things differently. If this was different, if that was different, we could have done this differently. But the King of Swords says, hold on. Take your time and really think about that before you engage with this person emotionally, especially because nothing's wrong with having a conversation, especially if it's business-wise. Nothing's wrong with having a conversation, seeing what the contract might look like, trying to get an idea of like what this person's motivations are. Nothing is wrong with that, but succumbing to the emotional throes of the situation definitely will not be beneficial to you, right? So we have the full moon card, the Knight of Cups, and I feel like you're not it's so funny with the spread. I could already tell who's going to listen to the reading and who's not going to listen to the reading. So the fact that the Knight of Cups is coming up as the full moon card, you definitely don't listen. You don't listen. Like, somebody, whoever this person is that comes back in, is somebody that you genuinely desire to be in your life. You've wanted them back for so long. Like, wow. You're telling yourself that it was you, you were the problem, and now you see the error of your ways, and if they could just come back to you, you could make everything right. That's the energy that I'm getting from this reading. You think you can make everything right because now you have hindsight. You thought about it a lot. You gave yourself time. King of Swords, when you were supposed to be thinking about things from a logical, detached standpoint, you just ended up really thinking about the good times and how much you wanted back. And with the Knight of Cups, you try to reconnect with this person or these people or this place, this environment, because again, it does feel like a love reading. This particular group does feel like a love reading, right? And with the Ten of Pentacles at the bottom deck, it could have even been somebody that you were maybe engaged to, or maybe you were married or got divorced, or maybe you were common law, you were with them for a very long time, maybe to the point where you were living in the same place or cohabitating, going between homes, like you have your place, they have their place, and you all share each other's homes. It feels like it would have been somebody that was very close, like deep in your circle. Could have been a friend of the family, somebody that you grew up with, would always be over at your house, somebody in the same neighborhood. Somebody that your parents really liked for you, like they wanted you to marry this person. And they really approved of this person back in the day. This is a person you have deep emotional ties and connections to, not just in your life, but like through peripheral people, like through your family or your friends or your colleagues or something like that. So it makes it a little harder to shake them because people actually like this person, like they actually like them for you. So it's very hard to shake them because you've already come up with your reasons why you want to move on from this, and other people just can't understand. They just feel like, no, you're making a mistake, So it does feel like a love reading where it was someone that was the family's favorite, or just someone that was well liked and people always would pair them with you, right? But if it's not a love reading, it definitely could also be career, it could be community, it could be anything. You just have to, in time, it will be revealed to you what is your specific case, right? But the point is, at the full moon, there's this deep desire to reconnect with this person, right? Or these people. There is a desire to share memories about the past, to just, live in this haze of all the good things that happened before things went really bad. And I feel like Knight of Cups is there's this kind of return, right? Either you go to this person or this person comes to you, but there is that return energy, embracing each other, being grateful, being surprised even, like, what are you doing here? How come you end up here? Usually the last person I expect to see, but it was on my mind. I literally think about you so and so. That's the kind of energy I'm getting for this group. That is somebody that really, for some reason, means a lot to you. Like they had a very big hold on your past. And whatever break you got from them helped a lot because you're ready to go back for our next rounds. You're really ready to try and make things work with this person in some way, shape, or form. But the Knight of Cups is kind of like low-key a warning slightly because we're not sure that this person will keep their promises. Like, where you've gone wrong. You've already thought about all the ways you could improve this connection. But has this person done the inner work? Are they going to come back taking any kind of accountability for their part in what happened? Are they going to be truthful? Are they going to be consistent after they've won you back? These are things to think about. And you could only know if you know this person's personality, right? I mean, people do change. But if you know the general template of this person, you have to be true to that with the King of Swords. You cannot try to downplay that or make things fluffier than they actually are because you're going to get hurt in the end, right? So with this Knight of Cups, it's just like a lot of what we call in Trinidad mama guy, a lot of like empty flattery to get back in your good graces kind of vibe. And you just have to be conscious of it because, it could be a fun time. You could definitely have some fun. Full moon energy, high sexual energy, high creative energy. So there could be a real beautiful merging. But I think that you would have to get into that while being detached and understand that it might just be for one night. It might just be for one night, 2 nights, or 1 day, 2 days. It's the full moon energy. It comes and goes very quickly. And it suggests that these people, this person or you, are actually being controlled by the planetary forces, right? Because the higher dimensional guardians of this reality have a specific plan or narrative already scripted, and for that to happen, you and this person have to interact again for whatever reason to create whatever kind of Mandela effect or snowball, right? So it's like at the end of this, you're gonna be like, wow, I felt like I wasn't even in control. How come I did that? Like, that doesn't even feel like me. Like, it just felt like everything aligned for this moment, and it was like something from a movie, and that's the energy I'm getting by the time of the full moon. So be careful not to get swept up in it, right? To the point where it starts to feel like the start of something new, because it's not. It's just like a nice opportunity to dwell in an energy that you have not been in for a while, but you cannot attach to it because I don't think it's here to stay, right? And if, like, we look at this from a business lens as well, it could be somebody that, initially y'all were supposed to work on a project, and then they just kind of like completely disappointed you, or they were not there to support you, or like what they promised, they did not follow through on that. And they might come in hot and sweaty within the next 2 weeks talking about this, I have this big thing going on, I call you because I know you could do that, whatever, and this time you're surprised because it actually is a real event. Like, they actually really do have something going on, and you actually do have some kind of skill set that they do need, right? But I feel like this is just gonna be a makeup for that past disappointment, whereas like they kind of make the situation they give the situation a better ending by coming back and redeeming themselves and doing this one-off where they actually could put you to good use, right? And make you feel like you're in alignment, you're in sync, and that you could count and trust on them, But I don't see it being permanent. Like I said, I see it being a one-off, and then they go back to their kind of flighty, unpredictable, irresponsible behavior. So with business contracts and like working with people, you should also be very careful as well. There does seem to be somebody who's like a poser and who's really good at using other people's resources to look like they have something going on. So don't get caught up and wrapped up in that and like, investing and putting all your money into that when it's not meant to be like a sustainable thing. Like they're just trying to do this to impress you in the moment, but they have not thought it out long term on how they're going to actually, like, when all that's said and done and the truth come out, like they're not gonna have no answers on how to solidify what they've told you they had. Like they could show you it, like, yeah, I have this, I have that. Like they could show you I have the Porsche, right? They could lay a walk alongside and be like, yeah, this is my Porsche, I could park outside my house. But if they have to keep meeting with you and keep interacting with you, there's going to be a day they have to pick you up. They're not going to pick you up in the Porsche, right? And you're going to be like, well, where's the Porsche? And they have some excuse for why they don't have the Porsche today, but the Porsche was never their own. You understand? So just be mindful of posers. Be mindful of people that are like desperately seeking some kind of connection from the past and like willing to strike up any kind of nostalgia just to feel seen or to get attention. Be careful of those kind of people. Be careful of posers. Like I said, be careful of people that have hurt you a lot in the past, right? That you have a deep love for, because those can be dangerous people sometimes. You can have a deep love for somebody and they continuously hurt you. Be mindful of those kinds of people because they're trying to come back into your life, right? By the full moon, you will definitely be encountering them for sure by the full moon. But the end result of these things is the Six of Swords and the Four of Cups. You decide differently, and I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, group number 3. You decide, hey, you know what? Actually, I can do better by myself. Or I can do better without you by my side. Like the Six of Swords, with the Knight of Cups, there is this rush of passion, this kind of flash. Everything happens so fast, like you can't even believe you get swept up into that energy again, But with the Six of Swords, you're able to separate yourself from the person or from the environment or from the situation and realize, hey, at some point in my life, that was fun. At some point in my life, that was important to me. At some point in my life, I loved that person. I trusted that person. We made good money together. Whatever is the reasonings for why you would want to reconcile, at some point. But like I said before, things have changed. You're going to see some parts of that person that reminds you why you left in the first place. They're tumultuous. There's no security. You've been feeling secured. Now that they're not, what security is. But for some reason, when this person comes back into your life, it just shakes shit up. And there's that lack of security. But you're like, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. I'm just going to remove myself from the situation and move on to calmer waters. I've been down this road before. I know where it takes me. I don't need to see that movie again. Yeah? And you just decide to separate yourself. And with the Four of Cups, nothing this person does is able to like really get your attention after that point. You're like, no, that's not what I want. I'm looking for something more, something deeper, something realer. And all they have is these fancy little things to show you, like these one-offs, And you're like, no, I need something sustainable. And like I said, this is not just a love reading. This could apply to any other area of your life, especially family and career. But for those of you that, for this, it registers like a love reading, just be mindful. Okay? I mean, we all kind of, fall short and go back on our word and mess with people we say we're not going to mess with. But at the end of it all, choose yourself and, really understand that this person is not going to be able to keep up with their promises, to make good on their promises. And that's a hard thing to trust. And that's the problem you had with them the last time. It was hard to trust. You say it's going to do something for me and never do it for me. I didn't even ask you to do it. You tell me you was going to do it. You volunteer. And you still didn't do it, bro. It's still disappointment. Don't try and bring nothing for me now. With that Four Cups, don't try and think and make up. No, when it mattered, there wasn't there. And that's what it comes down to. Sometimes you just really have to be that strict with people. right? So we have we have the advice for group 3 with the oracle cards. We have do the work and realization, right? And I feel like the realization one is definitely self-explanatory. Like, it's literally just realizing, nah. I rather not. Like, I thought I wanted this, but I rather not. That's what the realization feels like. And they do the work. Interesting, right? Because then it suggests that you even being nostalgic about this person, right, is about you running from your own greatness. And that happens more than people realize, Sometimes we reach a point in our life where things could actually end up going real good. And you could actually end up becoming somebody that you always dreamed of, or maybe surpassing what you dreamt you could have been. And instead of leaning fully into that and investing in yourself, subconsciously and insidiously, unconsciously, there's great doubt. There's so much doubt about you being able to accomplish what you want to. So what do? Instead of investing in yourself, you look for somebody else to invest in, right? Because if it doesn't work out, they couldn't be helped, But you don't have to face your own failure. Right? When you opt out of working on yourself and you try to pick somebody else to be a little project, or to fix a connection, or to fix a physical thing or a tangible thing, that's you running away from yourself. So your guides are saying, do the work, do the inner work. Right? Now is not the time to take what you have and try to apply it, or focus it on another person or a group or a job, or an environment, right? All that's gonna do is make you distracted from the inner work, the spiritual work, the character development that you need to be doing. So you might be this pile, you might be the type that likes to lose yourself in other people because it makes you feel something, makes you feel alive, right? For some people, you could be very high performing and high achieving, and you still don't feel nothing now, but you still don't feel no kind of sense of accomplishment or satisfaction. But as soon as you pour it into a person, it's like crack. It's addictive. Like, when you see the benefits of how you deal with them and how you treat them and how they will treat you back, and the reciprocity, or like just the gratitude that somebody might have for you, that could end up in small doses. It's good, or on a balanced level, it's good. But when you completely abandon yourself to jump on somebody else's boat to steer their life, you're too far gone, right? You're too far gone. So with this do the work card, stop running from yourself. Like, you're very close to the peak. You're close to a major pinnacle in terms of your spiritual makeup, right? In terms of who you are at the core, you're very close to a pinnacle. And trying to take your energy and attention and shift it onto somebody else, especially somebody from the past, they're trying to bring forward and manifest into this realm right now, it's just not gonna serve you, right? It's really not going to serve you. It's not in your best interest. The best thing you could do is work on yourself, right? And again, because I feel like some of you are looking back on the scenario, the situation, and telling yourself, if I had just done this differently, if I had just done that differently, and you're gonna convince yourself that I just have to work on myself for this person or for this organization or for my boss, and everything. Don't do it. Don't try to. You're gonna be doing the character development anyways, but do not let the desires or the projections of others inform how you are going to grow. You have to determine how you are going to grow at this point, right? You can't be at this point where you're so moldable, where you could become anything at this point and then chuck yourself in a space where another person is going to be telling you and dictating you how to mold that potential. You can't do that. That's the worst thing you could do for yourself right now, right? So it's about doing the inner work, right? Or if you feel compelled to work on some aspect of yourself or to fix some aspect of yourself, do it for yourself and not for the validation or the acceptance of others, right? Stop looking back and telling yourself, I could have do this differently. What them could I do? Right? Nothing happens in a vacuum. What them could I do differently? What they could I do different? But don't put everything on yourself. I feel like that's a trap in how this person gets you back in their space, right? Because you put everything on yourself. Don't put everything on yourself, right? Both of you had a part to play. Yes, things could have gone differently, but they didn't. And there's no sense in chasing that illusion that if you just do XYZ differently, you will get a different outcome. It's just not gonna work for you this rounds. The only work that really matters is the work that you ordain and sanction as important to your growth, outside of the terms of anybody else, right? Unless somebody giving you unconditional love, right? You don't have to try to meet any kind of standard that they set, right? From the time they love conditional, you don't have to try to meet any standard, because you know to yourself, you know what unconditional love is. You know that. Are others capable of it? This person in particular, I would say no. So again, final thoughts on the reading. Don't go poking and prodding at the past too much. There's a big chance it's going to disappoint you. And the reason why you're feeling called to poke and prod at the past and try to resurface it is because you're running from your own internal work that is needed for your own self-development, right? And it's about self-actualization. You're so close to that self-actualization. If you would just stop running away from yourself and offering up your entire being to others and towards making their life what they want, focus on you, focus on yourself. And that will be the message for group number 3, right? I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's going to be helpful in the long run, right? I'm going to see you next lunar cycle. I hope you'll be back to hear another reading. And if you like the cards that you've seen in this spread, you can check out my Instagram page, Oracle868TT. Because these are a few of the cards from my Parodies tarot deck that I have created. Okay, and it will be available for purchase soon, so I'm gonna need you guys to message me and let me know if you're interested, so I can kind of figure out if I should just leave it as a print on demand option, or if I should actually print a couple and try to sell them from my own space, right? Because as a creator, this particular stage of it is not going to make me a lot of money, obviously, so I don't want to overdo it and be overzealous about what I think the sales could be. So I need the feedback in terms of who's interested, who might want to make an order, stuff like that, right? So I'm wishing you guys all the best. I thank each and every one of you for tuning into this video, right? I hope that you guys have a great Leo lunar cycle. Wishing you guys all the best, sending all my love, healing from Trinidad and Tobago, and I will see you next time. Bye.